Hi everyone, Courtney Martin here. In this video, we are going to go through how to remove a mat from your Doodle's coat. So Max and I, we just got back from the dog park, and it turns out that, after running around in the snow, getting wet, and essentially slobbery from playing with a bunch of other dogs, I discovered that he has quite a large mat behind his black ear. So it's definitely bothering him, and he was scratching at it, so I was just rubbing his head and realized that it's actually quite large. So I'm going to go ahead and explain exactly what I do to take care of these pesky mats that, if you do have a Doodle with a long coat, I can guarantee you're going to have to keep up with this and really go through their coat on a regular basis. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the mat that we're going to deal with is directly behind Max's black ear. And what I do notice is over time, any area where there's friction or, there's sort of almost like where one joining part of the body reaches with another, such as the underarms behind the ears, there tends to be a lot of rubbing going on. And so right behind Max's ear here, it's actually one huge mat. So I'm going to go ahead and, move the fur a little bit. So hopefully you can get a visual to see, this big chunk of knotted hair. And so this is actually really bothering him because when we got home from the dog park today, he was sitting down and he scratched behind his ear, and he actually, this is the first time ever, but he yelped. And so I want to take care of this, as you can imagine, right away, because today is also grooming day, and I always go through quite a brushing process before I even think about brushing this, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. One tool that I always use, and in all of the tutorial videos when it comes to grooming, I do share that, is this pin brush, okay? So I go ahead, this is step one of getting the mat out. Remember, you can always sprinkle cornstarch on the affected area. That is a great trick. It's a great technique. Max, he's very uncomfortable with this mat, so I'm going to be real with you guys. How grooming works, it's not always easy because we are working with animals here. So it does take a lot of patience, and that's something I want to touch on. Is when you're grooming your pup, you want to be in a very calm, relaxed state. I know it can be frustrating sometimes when you're trying to get a job done. I mean, if you have kids, and you get home from work and you had a long day and you have to essentially groom your pup, it does take some patience and some time, but let me tell you, your dog feeds off of your energy. And if you go into, the grooming process with an attitude where, your dog can tell that you're stressed out or frustrated, I promise you the grooming will not go easily. So you want to do this when you're in a really good mindset, because dogs they smell your emotions, they feel your emotions, and as you can imagine, they feed off of them as well. So I know that Max is not super pumped about this, so this is going to be a great example of what you may deal with as you're grooming your pup. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, this pin brush here, I'm just going to go ahead and gently brush. And I always like to start off just like human hair, from the tip of the hair to the root. And the reason why is because, chances are it's actually going to help detangle it a little bit easier. Okay, so if you start at the root, that would be a lot of pulling right away, and it actually might make the knot a little bit tighter. So that's my little technique, even for my own hair. I start at the tips. So here we go. I'm just going to go through with the pin brush. And remember, guys, with the pin brush, you can use it in all different sorts of directions. So check this out. See, this is actually some of his white hair that got, it's all really chunky and matted up in there. And so he's in some pain right now. I mean, look at him. You can tell he's trying to get my hands off of him. So this is going to be a little bit of a process. All right, so let's get cracking. You know, some people, you can use a grooming table. I do have a grooming table. For these videos, I tend to just shoot these videos while he's laying on the floor. However, you know, when it comes to your posture and, you know, overall training your doodle, it's a good practice just to get them used to a table in general. So, you know, as you can see, he's kind of moving around a little bit. He's not exactly a happy camper, but this is something that we have to deal with. And guess what? Now is the time, because just like everyone else, I'm busy, I have a schedule, and Mr. Max needs to get this done. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to brush out this area behind his ear. I'm going in all different sorts of directions, again, starting from the tip of the hair, moving my way to the root. And this is very painful for him right now. I'm not pressing hard at all, but I could tell it, I shouldn't say painful, it's more, it's irritating him. You know, he hasn't been yelping, and he's not trying to escape really right now. He's just sort of letting me know that he's not digging this whole procedure at the moment. Okay, so I could feel already, just with the pin brush alone, that it is loosening things up in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I mean, our tools, our natural gift is our fingers. So I always use my fingers to go in, and again, I'm not putting pressure on his head, I'm just holding it so I have control of the area that I'm trying to groom. Because if I don't put my hands on Max anywhere, it's really hard to feel and get the area that I'm trying to work with. And usually when I groom, Max has zero energy, but we weren't at the dog park for very long, so chances are he'll be more on the fidgety side. And so I can already feel, like I said earlier with this tool alone, that it's starting to loosen things up. This is one of my go-tos. So every time, you know, if I do brush Max on a daily basis, this is my preferred tool. This is what I like to use. And then of course I go in with the pin comb to go ahead and make sure that I feel that there's absolutely no mats that are starting at the root of his coat. Okay, so again, because his coat is so fluffy, I need to go in with my fingers and feel. So this did release quite a bit, but I could feel there's a huge chunk in there still. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take our next tool, which we always discuss in our videos as well, to loosen it up a little bit, is this tool right here. So this is the slicker brush. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this right now. And again, here we go. He's not digging the whole grooming session today, but we have to get it done. And so he also, you know, he has to understand that this is important. Well, I shouldn't say understand, because he won't understand like a human that this is important, but I mean, he has to just learn that, you know, when we need to take care of business such as his grooming, this is something that we need to do. So I could feel the mat is right here. And this is definitely pulling, you know, some of the undercoat out. It's helping for sure. Okay, you have to lay down, my boy. So this is the look I always get when I'm trying to get things done. Okay, mister, let's get this done. There we go. So, especially you guys with pups, I mean, you know, it does take practice to get them to just chill out. You know, this is not the time to have that cute hyper voice, you know, like when you're at the park and it's not playtime. I'll tell you, you want to start practicing early. However, if you do have an older dog, it's never too late. So don't get discouraged if you're thinking, you know, oh, Courtney started this when Max was just a puppy and my dog is 12 years old. Well, no, because we have group members that have rescued and they're training their pup when it comes to grooming right now. So can this method, this, you know, grooming technique and practice over time work with your dog at any age, whether it be age or you know, the stage of training that you're at? The answer is yes, absolutely, 100%. And so we do work closely, as you guys may have noticed in our group, with a behaviorist, and that's something that we discuss. So this can be applied for absolutely everyone and every pup at every stage. So I can really feel that, you know, this slicker brush is really starting to grab all that loose dead hair from the undercoat. And that's helping to remove all the tangles, right? Because essentially that's how knots are caused. It's just a bunch of dead hair that's bundling up. Some dead hair, I shouldn't say all dead hair. There's some hair that is still connected to the root. But that's what's causing the mats, is the friction, combination of dead hair and hair that is attached to the root that's starting to get knotted up, and it is very uncomfortable for dogs. Okay, so I did remove quite a bit of the tangle with this slicker brush. Now it's time to go ahead and move over to the comb. Okay, so I'm going to go over this tool here, and if you guys do watch our videos, you've seen this before. This is the steel comb that I use. I always start off with the part of the comb where there's more space in between the pins, and then I go ahead and use this side where there's less space in between the pins. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this. And again, I always start, my technique is I start from the tip of the hair, and then I work my way closer to the root. Okay, so one thing I did notice, which is cool, so Max was born on March 2nd, 2016, and he was born with jet black hair. And so you can see he's still got some of this jet black hair going on here, but it's really cool. His coat is starting to change a little bit. You can see this gray hair here. So if you guys have a sheepadoodle, it's really cool to see the changes that they go through. Some of the sheepadoodles, their hair will stay jet black. I have seen that before. Of course, it's all based on genetics. I know that Max's mom, her coat is gorgeous. It's like this blue, I'll show you, this like blue gray color everywhere. So, you know, Max, over time, he might turn into that same silver gray blue color, which I love. You know, I will be happy whether his coat stays this black color or whether it changes over. That's cool with me. Okay guys, so I'm gonna show you something. See that white spot right there? That is actually a good example of dead hair that's just been accumulating, even from different areas, you know, around his neck, that is causing the mat. So see, this isn't even, this white hair here isn't even connected to this whole black area. So that's a good example and essentially proof that, you know, dead hair is a factor of causing these nasty mats, and they're really uncomfortable. So yeah, that's a big tangle in there. Sorry, buddy. There's my crabby little puppy, not feeling today's grooming session, but we're gonna do this. So he knows, you know, when it comes to grooming, that this is something that we just have to get done. So he knows he's back at it. It's work mode right now. So here we go. And again, guys, don't get discouraged. You know, this has not happened overnight. This has taken me time to get him to just, you know, chill and understand that he can't just be bratty and the grooming session doesn't stop just because he doesn't feel like it. Because let's be real, you know, we have busy lives and we have things to do. So it's just all about training. And so at this point, I'm starting to feel that the mat is actually right attached to his skin, okay? So it's so close to his skin, and you know, this comb is definitely helping. However, it's quite painful for him, and so I want to go ahead and use the actual dematting rake, okay? Because sure, I can go ahead and use my comb. I'll show you. Like, you can see it's pulling off some pieces of hair, and actually some matted pieces of hair. However, at this point I can tell just by feeling it with my fingers, and you could see right in there that this is something that the dematting rake will actually take out a lot easier. So just imagine if on your human head, if you had a huge mat, okay, at the root of your hair, a big one like that, and it was right up against your scalp, what would be less painful, going at it with a comb like this, or going in at it with a blade like this, where you could gently rock back and forth, okay? So this part of the blade, so let's say that my fingers are Max's skin, and this is a blade. Keep in mind, when I say blade, I actually mean that this is a blade. It's essentially a knife, okay? Think of it that way. So in between Max's skin, which is my fingers, we have a mat here, okay? And we've got this blade. So what I have to do very carefully is go in with the blade, get it close enough to Max's skin where the blades are not against his skin, because that will cause a serious problem. I don't want to slice Max's skin. That's not what we're going for here. We're all about removing the mat. So I want to go in and just gently, you know, get the blade in there and essentially cut the mat off. And so that's what you're going to see happening right away. And remember, you want to make sure that your pup isn't, you know, spinning his or her head around, you know, or nipping at you, because this part it could be dangerous. I mean, if your dog turns around and let's say you have the blade like this, well, this can cut them. So we have to be very careful, and it's not something that, if you're just starting with grooming, that will happen overnight. Okay, it does take time, and you will get there. So don't get discouraged. And if you are trying to get this done and you're in the stages of training your pup, you know, walk away for a bit if you have to. Okay, so just like when you're trying to teach a child, if you know, you can't force a child to sit and do math problems if they can't even think clearly. So it's the same thing, okay? So this is helping a lot. This is actually going to save a ton of time. And most importantly, it's actually going to be a lot less painful for Max. Because remember, when it comes to grooming, it's such a huge part of their life and our life that we don't want it to be a horrible experience for them or for us. So that's why, you know, as I groom, I want it to really drive the point home that, you know, we're not sort of dictating how things are going to go. It's a relationship, and it's a process that we have to essentially go through with our dogs. So, oh my goodness, yeah, like right in here, I'm going to show you. Hopefully you can get a good view. You can actually see this here is a huge mat. Okay, so that's a ball of fur that I need to remove very carefully because it's quite tight. Okay, so it's like right up against the skin pretty much. Like obviously there's enough of a space in between that I can feel where I can get the dematting rake in there safely, because, you know, there's no way I want to cut Max's skin. That would be absolutely horrible. So I'm taking a lot of safety measures here like I always do. And so what this is doing is breaking up that pesky mat. And I'm just gently rocking it forward. If it goes in with ease, I push it forward and pull it out. If I have problems getting the dematting rake in, so let's just say that it's really tight, essentially what I do is, I'll show you, I'm pinching, definitely not pinching his skin, I'm just holding the fur close to the root so I could feel Max's skin safely underneath this finger. Okay, so Max's skin is here, the mat is here, and I can actually feel exactly where I'm going. So my finger is almost like a safety barrier, okay? So I'm going through, wiggling the dematting rake in and pulling the dematting rake through Max's fur to just gently remove that. I'm not just going in blindly. You know, if you ever see a tutorial where someone's just, and I'm far from Max's coat right now, so this is not a danger to him. So if people are just kind of like blindly going in with the dematting rake, it's almost like, wow, you're going at your dog's coat with the blade and you're not, you know, there's no safety measures happening. Well, people need to understand how important that is for many reasons. We don't want to be taking emergency trips to the vet. That's not what this is all about. Okay, so right now I could feel that this made an absolute huge difference. I could feel it did break up the mat a lot, and it's starting to feel really great. And the cool thing is, and why I love this tool, is because as you guys see probably through all of Max's photos, I'm huge into photography, you know, Max's Instagram account, and I like to have his coat shaggy, and so for me this is a great tool because I don't have to shave the mat off. Is it easier to shave, just like grab a razor and shave the mat off? Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, if he had a short coat, which a lot of the Doodles in our group do, which is awesome to see, I'm sure in the summertime they love that. Yeah, you could just shave it off, and I'll go through some tutorials with our celebrity pet stylist, so you know, we'll discuss the proper procedures for that. So if you have a short hair Doodle, lucky you. In this instance, Matt he's got a long coat, so I'm gonna go through and show you guys exactly what I do here for the long coat maintenance. Okay, so it's feeling good, and you can see, like, it definitely broke it up, okay? So I'm going in with my fingers. Remember, that's what's going to tell you exactly what's going on is your fingers. You're going to go in and feel what needs to be done. I could feel there's one more piece right in there. Yeah, that's a pretty big piece. So look, this is essentially a knot on the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just gently rock it, and look how easily that broke the mat apart. It's a really awesome tool, guys. Okay, and so now I'm feeling comfortable. This is really releasing a lot of the pressure, you know, from his skin. This is another huge chunk of a mat here. You could actually, check this out, guys. You can actually see his skin here, okay? I'm gonna zoom right in there. So this, oops, I'll move this fur here. This here, that's his skin. Okay, right there. Now, it's like chicken skin. It's very thin, it's very sensitive, and I mean, guys, I'm right behind his ear. That's so dangerous, okay? So look, that's how close that mat is to his skin. So you have to be so careful. And check this out. This is, so his skin is here, and, oh sorry, his skin is here, and this mat is right here. Okay, so when I'm going in with the blade, remember that I have to have the sharp edge far away from his skin, but I could feel actually that from his skin, this is actually not matted. The mat is starting right about here. Okay, so the mat is starting right about here. So I do have space to work with. So I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So I'm gonna go in there with the dematting rake to show you, because that has to come out. I can't leave that mat there. So I'm gonna remove all of this fluff. That's what the dematting rake has removed so far, which is excellent. And so very carefully, I'm going in here, away from his skin. And on this side, where this finger is, I can feel where the mat starts and where his skin begins. I'm not guessing. So I'm going in and I'm starting to break up that mat. So you can see there's no skin, it's just the mat. I'm rocking it back and forth like a little knife. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through this mat to break it up. It will take me, I don't know, probably 3 to 4 minutes to do this. And then I'm gonna come back and I'll show you what steps I take after I broke the mat up with the dematting rake. I'm back to show you this, check it out. Look at this big chunk of a mat that I pulled out with the actual steel comb. So you can see all of the fluff that looks like balls that actually, those are little mini mats. And so this all came out. I'm also gonna show you the handful of fluff that's been removed from behind his ear alone, okay? And so I haven't even gone in and pulled all the hair out of the pin brush. And remember, this is just from behind his ear. So that's crazy. Our doodles have a lot of fur. We need to keep the maintenance going. So again, guys, also remember in this description below, I do share links to all of the tools that I use in our tutorial videos. All right, talk to you soon.